Hey, it's Dorleen and I'm making a paper bag album. So you can see there that I take 3 different paper bags and I flip the middle one over so that the, what do you call that, the flap I guess, is facing the opposite side. So I just fold it in half and I use a long arm stapler to bind it all together. And I've seen people sew that. I've seen people punch holes and put ribbons. There's just all different ways. You can also use brads, whatever you want to do. So I do my paper bag albums a lot of different ways, but this one is pretty simple. I'm taking my jelly prints and also prints that I've made from just mixed media master boards that I've kind of just played around with, made prints. But I just kind of pull a bunch and cut them into 5 by 5 inch squares. And then you'll see me soon covering each page of the album. So within that little album, there's 10 pages inside, and then there's a front and back cover. So I needed 12 of those squares, which is what I'm doing, just adhering them. Not really any theme in mind. I just kind of thought I'd use up some of those papers that I made and kind of make it a fun and funky album. So you just see me cutting all this stuff up, placing them in orders that I think look nice based on the color schemes of the background pages. So I don't know if you've ever made a paper bag album before, but they are a ton of fun. Here I'm using my jelly print, but you can use cardstock, you can use pattern paper, you can use, again, you can paint right on the paper bags, but I have those pieces and I thought I'd adhere them to that. So that's the end of that. And now what I decided to do is I'm going to continue to kind of dress up these pages. And it's kind of a lot of fun because I started with those jelly prints, I didn't have to just start with a blank page. So here I'm just kind of putting down some acrylic paint. This is some thick body acrylic paint that I got on clearance, which I kind of laugh about because I think that's so odd that paint is on clearance. I mean, everybody uses paint, especially a black and a white, so I'm not really sure. But hey, it was on sale and I bought it. So I'm going through my stash of what I call junk papers, and some of them I just collect from old junk mail, excuse me, and some actually get sent to me, like those that piece of looked like math homework or something. How fun was that? Just a little something. So here I'm just using a stencil, and that stencil is by Fun Stamper's Journey. But I'm just going through and adding some black acrylic ink. And these again are a full-bodied ink. Again, that was on clearance at Hobby Lobby. I just use my fingers, but you can do whatever you want. I'm kind of a messy, I don't want to say artist, but a messy crafter. So I just use my fingers. It just seems a lot easier. So you can see that I'm done with that first page, or at least I think I am. And then I go through with the Sharpie, and those are just little white dots that I love white dots. You'll see me using those all the time. But I'm drying it, and I cut out a lot of pieces. But there I'm like, ta-da, okay, I'm done with that. Now I flip it over. And what can I do with that? A lot of it is just kind of playing around, messing around, grabbing what I have, coordinating colors. I try not to think too hard about it because I figured if I don't like it once I put it on, I can always cover it up. And you'll see that a lot of times that I do that. With this album, since I'm not too worried about, being acid free and photo safe, etc., etc., I just grab my regular tacky glue, which I absolutely love for everything. And it's just to tack those papers down. And again, this is just a kind of fun album that I decided to make using my junk papers, my scraps, my jelly prints, and just kind of seeing what I can come up with. Usually when I make paper bag albums, I have a specific theme and I have a specific stack of cardstock, pattern paper, sticker, whatever to dress it up. And it would be, like a baby or whatever. And this one I really still don't have really an idea of what I'm doing with it, but it was a lot of fun just to kind of be artsy in it and create something that's just artsy and fun instead of specifically to a different theme. So there I just put on some Heidi Swap Color Shine, I believe is what it's called, and I just did it in gold and just kind of sprinkled it over. And then that little pen that I'm using is actually a whiteout pen, and it just gives a really good thick coverage, instead of a lot of the white pens are very transparent, and this is very opaque, and you can, it really stands out. And there I'm just using a teal colored acrylic paint, just cheap acrylic paint you get, at Walmart or Michael's, wherever, for 50 cents. Sometimes they're $1, depending on, where you're getting them. But, so I had a little teal with that black and white and gold, and I really, really like it. I'm just drawing little hearts here and there, just kind of dressing it up. I'm not even really sure where I came up with sweet face. I just wanted to write something, so hey, why not? We're going to put somebody's face on there. That is sweet. And, again, just very simple. If you compare it to the red, black, and gold, I mean, what a big difference with that additional gold and then the teal. So, this base is just black and a little bit of teal over there on the, well, I guess it would be the right side, but I'm just adding some gelatos, and those are kind of like a pastel sticks, but not as harsh. I don't know if that's the right word, but I really like the way they move when you wet it. I didn't have my little water container, so that's why I just kind of put the water on my finger, but it's all good. And there's a stencil with some more acrylic paint, and kind of doing the opposite side of the stencil for some color there. And then that's a Fun Stamper's Journey colored spray. Ooh, I can't think of the color right now, but just to add little extra dots and make that stand out a little bit. And here I have those little painted, or pot, God, that sounds, paint in pots, and it got really dried out, so you could tell as I was trying to move it, it was really thick. But I used that wipe, and look at how it smeared. It just looked really nice, gave it a little different effect. And here's some more scrap paper that I'm just adhering, kind of figuring out where I'm going to put it, and adhere it there to the bottom. The fun part about doing projects where you don't really have a specific theme or purpose in mind is you really can just experiment and just do whatever you're going to do, and there's really no right or wrong, or oh god, that doesn't match this, or those kind of things that come up when you have a specific theme or specific project in mind. And just here's some more color spray with a stencil. I love that olive green, it's so pretty. And then again, I'm just using that opposite side because it has all that ink on there after you do the stencil, and see how it gives such a different look. I just love that, it's so pretty. And that's just a regular pencil, and just covering some of those circles, adding little doodles here and there. And these are just little marks. It's just fun to play. I think I do add some paint. That pen right there is or water marker, I guess, is actually from Crayola, and it was in the kids section, and it holds acrylic paint. And I have like 3 or 4 of them in bright colors. It was a set, but that was like my favorite thing ever. It was like so cool with that brush already in mind. But it's a kid set, so obviously you're not going to get a lot of color everywhere, but I think I use it more than my granddaughter does. So there I am with more the Fun Stamper's Journeys splashes, and I believe that's Cosmic Grape, but just adding some extra color there. When you see me now, I'm showing off my last junk journal entry, a couple of them, and then I did another one with a photo of my granddaughter. Adorable. And I did that little chip-in video a while ago, so if you want to see that, go check out my channel and you can see all that. So I kind of had to let that dry a little bit, so now I'm adding just some paint, some more colors here and there. That bottle's almost empty. Let's see that. Just a lot of fun. Oh, I went back to that other page. That looks like just some white acrylic paint that I'm just kind of adding something a little more. Looks like I'm showing off my fingers. Lots of paint, lots of goodies. Love that. When I'm done messing around, I always look at my finger like, what am I thinking? But it all comes off, and it's all just kind of fun. So, another stencil, and that's just a Sharpie. Putting in a couple of those little crosses with the Sharpie. I probably should have waited till that paint dried. You can see that I was cleaning off my Sharpie for a minute there. They could pretty much ruin a pen, but those Sharpies are pretty hardcore. I really like that. I'm just looking at it. Just a white pen, adding some more marks. Again, just, just messing around, just having fun, adding little things here and there. So even though those pages start off with a really fun and kind of wild background, I mean, look at that. There's always still something to do. I'm just adding some teal color, adding something to that. I believe I wet my finger again so I can smear those a little more. Now it's fine the way it is. You don't necessarily have to smear it with water. Those are the gelatos. But it just gives a different texture. And you see all that purple on the one side, so that's why I thought, well, I need to add purple to the other side and make it a little bit more cohesive. Now looking at this, I wish I would have used a darker purple because that is like an eggplant on that side. There's more of that gold Heidi shine. And that's one of my junk journals. And so a lot of times I'll do that when I have like extra ink, whether I need it to dry faster or I'm just feel like adding it. So I'm pressing it on those so you get the gold splatter on other projects. So it's kind of fun. So you kind of spread out your products so you're not always wasting. Like if I have extra paint on an overflow, on the backdrop kind of thing, I'll use other projects and kind of mop it up with there. So again, you're not wasting products. And in case you're wondering, I have that stencil in there because that black thick-bodied paint that I put the stencil in that first step, I think it's just taking a little longer to dry, so it's kind of sticking. So I thought, well, I'll just throw that stencil in there and that so the pages won't stick together. But so I just handwrite. What does it say? Things I love. Now I'm adding little circles and little dots with my Sharpie pen, my white Sharpie pen. And again, I really like that heart jelly plate print, so I didn't want to do a whole lot to it, but it still needs a little something. And you'll see what I'm doing here with my, those I just grabbed a piece of cardstock and just kind of rubbing it in there. But if you want to read more about this, go to my website, which is craftsinthecommandcenter.blogspot.com. I know it's long, but I love the name, so I don't want to switch it. But I'll have a little details there, and I also post photos and whatever it is I'm doing all the time. So please come visit me. So here's a little flip through. I wish you can compare it to what it was before because, like I said, the originals were pretty wild, but this is just a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Bye.